Well, good afternoon, YouTube. AJ Shaver from Shaver Sales here. It's been a little while since we did a video, but we've been awful busy. We're now in the middle of July, and I am surrounded by split firewood, all filled up in the bags, and I have wood processors everywhere. I've got two Halverson wood processors over by my big 1824 diesel. I've got a whole bunch more over here on the gooseneck trailer. I have a 1424, a 1624, I have an 1824, and I even have a CS 2024 circle saw machine available. So let me get the camera spun around, and I know when we're talking on the phone and doing the emails and stuff, everybody's always asking what's the difference from one model to the next. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes here, and while I have all these super processors lined up, we'll just kind of go through them one by one and see which one fits your needs the best. All right, so we'll just do a little quick walk by. CS 2024. This one's a 2019 model, about 1,700 hours on it. The next one is an 1824 gas 2020 model with only like 166 hours on it. It does have the fold over the top conveyor. We have a brand new 1624. We did take money on this one. It's going to go to upstate New York. The guy's going to come for it next weekend. It also has the extended frame on it. This one is a 1424. I'm going to go down towards central Pennsylvania, if I could talk. Also has an extended frame on it. So this is the four processors that we're going to go over today. And there's our gooseneck full of Halversons in the very, very back. And let's get into this starting with the 1424. I guess one other point before I start going in-depth model to model, there's basically, I guess there's four different tiers of processor within brute force. So there's your 1416 series, which basically share the same chassis, and then everything in black upgrades. Then it goes to the 18 series, which it goes from a gas motor to the diesel motor, which is the one that we have. It's over behind me. And then you get into the 20 series, which is the like your 2424, which is the big bar saw machine, and the 2430, same machine, just longer stroke. And so that's the third tier. And then the fourth tier ends up with the circle saw series, either the 48-inch or the 60-inch. And so that's kind of how the brute force models lay out. So now let's get talking about the 1424. Okay, so basically what it looks like, a standard 1424 is pretty much what's on screen now. Two-strand live deck, 10-foot conveyor. This one, the customer opted to go for the extended frame. So that's everything from the weld right here forward. You get the little toolbox down the bottom and the third leg. The infeed trough is about 48 inches longer. This one does have a 2-inch ball on it. We'll go around the other side. You have the auxiliary fuel tank, the hydraulic tank, and a 25 horsepower EFI Kohler. Left that one on before. We had to raise the conveyor up a little bit. So with these models now for 2020, they are all coming with the upgraded motor, and the oil cooler are standard. We were doing a different model before where you could get this with like a 19 horse, but it really didn't sell that many of them just because, you know, more horsepower is better than everybody was really going for the oil cooler. All with the bar saw machines, regardless of what size it is. This is pretty much your standard bar and chain oil reservoir. Holds about 3 gallons. You get a little opaque gauge there for seeing how much oil is left in it. You do get a torsion axle on this. We could upgrade and do like a sawdust chute. It is coming standard now with the wedge holder on it. Our customer did opt to go for the 4-way and the 6-way. It is a hydraulically adjustable wedge on these. Drop it all the way down for easy removal. Just lift it straight up, drop in the next one, and go from there. I recommend somewhere around a 16-inch diameter. It's kind of like 16 inches left to right and like 18 up and down. We'll throw a piece of wood up on this in the next video. You know, we always do the two different types of videos. Your standard walk around, and then we make the sawdust fly, an actual operational video. Again, as mentioned, it is a 10-foot hydraulically driven, top-mounted motor type of conveyor. This one just goes straight up and down. It's not until you get into the 1824 series that we do the side-to-side pivot. All your controls are mounted here on the dash. Splitter with automatic detent for reverse. Then you get your wedge up and down here. You get your conveyor up and down, the log deck up and down, your actual cut and return. And now you get the conveyor forward, neutral, and reverse, along with the speed control. So it's all right here at your fingertips. All of the brute force processors come with the gauges, just so you know where all your different pressures are. And by far the most important sticker, please use your brain, because the machine has none. Just, you know, you got to be cautious. You're standing right next to the wedge. Things do fly up out of there, and you know, do want to keep your fingers intact, so just don't put them where you wouldn't put your lips. So as we transition from the 1424 over to the 1624, as I mentioned previously, they share what I'm going to call is the same chassis, and I'll define the chassis as anything that is red. So like your hitch, the main frame, the infeed trough, you know, that's all pretty much your basic piece. Now the 1624 comes standard with 3 legs and a 12-foot conveyor, as you see here within the picture. And then this one, we added the extended frame on it, so it's everything from the weld here forward for this to get the extended frame. I like putting the taller log deck legs on the outside, so that way it gives you free clearance to get on the inside with the forks or your log grapple, however you want to do that for loading purposes. The standard 1624 has maybe about a 30-inch longer infeed trough, because the 1424 kind of ends about here, so you get just that little bit extra for the third leg. Everything else looks to be pretty much identical. Same fenders. You do get upgraded electric brakes on the 1624. You get a bigger splitter cylinder, you get the bigger motor, a bigger fuel tank, bigger pump, that longer conveyor, all that kind of good stuff. So it does add quite a bit of functionality to the price tag that comes with it. The extended frame model still gets the toolbox. There's our bigger fuel tank. We go from a 25 horsepower to a 38 horsepower EFI. Similar oil cooler, same bar and chain oiler. This is the sawdust chute that we were mentioning before. It's an easy, just drop on, you know, no tools required. That way you can get in there and service your saw chain. A little bit longer bar on this. I think we go from like that 1618 to like an 1820. This is kind of new. We noticed this last night. We're doing some pressure washing. The shield behind the pusher plate's really nice. We didn't see this until we got into the 2424 or the circle saw models. It just keeps, if a piece kind of falls back in, it protects the chrome part of the cylinder, and then you can't get anything pinched between the pusher plate and the back. All right, well, for some reason the audio decided that it was not going to work anymore, and I just shot, probably 5 more videos, so everything from this point on in the video is actually a retake. Isn't that awesome? I love technology. So back at the 1624, this is the 12-foot attached conveyor. This one does not pivot side to side, but just straight up and down. It does have the same top drive hydraulics. It's still a single drag chain. We don't get into the double drag chain models until we get into the 1824 series, which is what's coming up next. But there's the the conveyor motor up there. Single drag chain, big rubber paddles. Pretty straightforward operator's platform, splitter, wedge up and down, the live deck. Just as you look out, as you work the lever, the logs go either direction. You get the conveyor up and down, the log deck itself up and down. This is your cut and saw return, and your infeed that brings the wood in through the opening. Now your conveyor controls are all here, so you get forward, neutral, and reverse. Speed control on the older models, you'll see they were kind of mounted down here, but your left leg would always kind of bump into it. So they moved everything conveniently up onto the same console. You do get the standard gauges, you know, across all of the models. There. I'm trying to remember what else I had, because I really liked the first take that we did on this, but again, that's the 1624. Everything in red's pretty much the same as far as the chassis size goes versus the 1424 model. And now we'll head on over to the 1824 gas machine. So this one is actually a used model. It is a 2020 1824 gas. There is a whopping 170 hours on this unit. Guy bought it, never really utilized it to its full potential beyond doing his own firewood, and it is just a spectacular piece. On this one, as we're talking about chassis size, everything in red on this one is what upgrades, but it's actually the very same power plant as the 1624. So a little bit taller, we jump into a 16-inch rubber tire versus the 15-inch. But that's not the only thing that changes. We get into this 1824, the last log holder, the little arm here that pops out that you see me use on our diesel model all the time as that last piece comes through. It just kind of keeps you from having a hand in the splitter trough that just pops out and holds that last log up as it gets cut off. The bar length on this, or the cut diameter, I guess I should say, is about 20 inch, and so every model that we've gone up so far, it increases in the log diameter. We went from like 16 then to 18, now we're at 20. A lot bigger and beefier vertical backbone behind the wedge, just doing a little bit more splitting tonnage out of it. At the 1824 level, you also get the pivoting conveyor. This will actually side shift left to right about 4 to 5 feet at the very end. This model has the upgraded fold over the top conveyor system on it. So there's your hydraulic actuating rams there, and that becomes the pivot point where this folds all the way up over and then rests down on top of the big rubber bracket there. This is a 16-foot in overall length. It does load the back of my 4500 Ram pretty well. We'll do the operational videos tomorrow because I'm reshooting this now, and so we'll show you how this one works as it everything kind of goes up and then dumps really nicely into the back of the pickup truck, or the Mason dump rather. Same kind of wedge holder. We're going to sell this one with the 4-way and the 6-way in it. Same bar oil container. Same hydraulic oil cooler. Oh, I had this in there. This one does have, if I can get it cleaned off so you can see it, the carbide tipped saw chain. Come on, camera, focus. There we go, maybe. So we have an entire maintenance kit, everything from hydraulic filters to oil filters to spare chains. We have 2 spare bars that are down here in the toolbox. They're all going with the unit. There is the 38 horsepower EFI big block V twin. So here's our hour meter, 167.2. And same gas tank as on the 1624. And I believe with this being the standard 3-strand live deck, I'd have to get a tape measure to confirm my suspicions, but I would pretty much say the distance from like the clamp arm here to the end is going to be about the same as the 1624 over there. But you do upgrade the chassis for the longer conveyor lengths that are available, the bigger log diameters, and then once we go into the diesel model, then we go with the extended frame that comes out with the 4th leg, and we'll go ahead and take a walk over there to my machine just because we're comparing and contrasting stuff. All right, so this is our setup. We have a radius axle stacking conveyor. It is 30 feet in overall length. We have the extra hopper kind of mounted on the end here to collect the wood that's coming off of the disc cleaner. There's all the fun stuff. And then this is our 1824 diesel machine. Once you reach the diesel level, this is a 49.5 horsepower Kohler Diesel in this. You get, besides the diesel, you get the tandem axles, sawdust chute, last log holder, wedge holder. This one has the optional auxiliary hydraulic controls on it because that's how we're powering the disc cleaner and the conveyor. We have a nice beefy diesel with a big pump, so it's just easy enough to do that. Don't know if I can get the camera in here to see this, but this is the auto tensioner on the saw bar. This one will cut through about a 24-inch diameter log. Full disclosure, the 10-way wedge that we have in this is really sweet at about the 16 to 18-inch diameter. It just shoves everything right through, retail ready, right off the wedge. If it's bigger than that 18, we leave the wedge a little bit lower so the big pieces are up on top, and then we'll just fold those back in for a real quick resplit. Also with the diesel model, you get this positive log stop that allows the log to come in, bump against that plate for your set increment every time, versus going with the little snowplow whip that normally hangs off the bracket up top. We did take payment on this unit. It is sold. The new owner, Joe, is going to come pick it up here in August. It's the middle of July. I have a few more logs I got to cut just for the winter. We do have about 30 cord in the log lift bags over there, another 30 cord behind me, and I probably have about 10 more cord to do that's in log length currently. So diesel motor, auto tensioner, positive log stop. We upgraded the fold over the top conveyor just like on the gas model, tandem axles, and then the extended frame, so everything from here forward comes standard. And I'll tell you about the new one that we have coming in a little bit later, maybe. We'll see how the video goes. But there's your teaser. And this is the 1824 diesel, and we also have the auto cycle on this one. So you pull both, and then one will kick to return, then the other kicks back off again. Really handy. And there's those bees again, because there's a nest in there that I thought I killed the other day. Little buggers. Anyway, so I think with that we're going to conclude the 1824 diesel, but that's what it looks like. All right, so as mentioned before, with the 4 different sizes of processors, we go from the 1416 into the 18 series with the gas and the diesel. Now there's one that's in the middle. It's a 2424, or the more popular 2430. We do not have that one here because it's making firewood in New Jersey. So we didn't have the logistics work out quite right with getting the 14 and the 16 here in time. Otherwise we would have had the full deck of brute force processors. But maybe I'll throw some pictures in just so you can kind of see that. But however, it does share the very same live deck and chassis, everything in red, as the CS2024 machine here. So it does come standard with the 16-inch dual wheels, the extended frame for the 4 legs. So again, everything from the weld here forward. Stupid huge oil tank with monster return lines on it. I mean, it's just a big machine that moves massive amounts of oil. Very similar operators platform. This one is a 2019 with, I believe, right around 1,700 hours on it. We do the same auto cycle as on my diesel. Very similar controls the whole way across. 1739.2 on the meter. Again, being an older machine, you get the conveyor controls are down by your left leg. The previous owner on this one did not have a conveyor on it, so we added that here at the woodlot. It's just a regular 12-foot straight conveyor, but it is extra wide for the massive amounts of wood that come off of this machine, and it does do the side-to-side pivot. Even the bar saw version will have the 24-inch wide bottom trough, double drag chain, positive log stop, last log holder. The bar saw machine does go through 30-inch diameter logs. It is not built to be fast, but it is built to handle the big, ugly stuff. So there's a gas version of the 2430, and then there's the diesel version. Gas is still the same 38 horsepower EFI, and then the diesel version on the bar saw is 56 horse, and then the circle saw machine is actually a 74.5 horsepower. So we actually stay away from all of the emissions nonsense. It'll have the same fuel tank here. I don't think we do the dual oil coolers until we get into the circle saw versions, but this is the diesel motor in this one. The only thing you have is the EGR cooler. But again, even the bar saw machine shares the very same chassis, everything in red, same conveyor. It's just a matter of what we're using for a head unit for actually cutting through the logs. The new model number of this one is the CS48 for the 48-inch slasher saw. Does go through about a 20-inch diameter log round. So you get 48 divided by 2 is 24. It's got an 8-inch arbor in it, so you take that half out, which leaves you right around 20 inches. This one does have an 8-way in it. As I mentioned on the 1624, that extra shroud that's behind the pusher plate, that is standard on the 20 series processors. It comes all the way back here. So just as you get going really fast, that we don't get a log that drops down behind the pusher plate. And there is one model bigger than this, the new CS60 with a 60-inch buzz wheel on it, slasher saw, however you want to term it. So I think that pretty much covers the gamut that we have here, from commercial production all the way down to homestead, farmstead, firewood startup kind of use with that 1424. If you've seen the other videos, we do that Psychobilly Cadillac. That was a pretty cool one that we did for my buddy George. A little Kubota diesel on it, and the processor sported a 10-second cycle time. That's why we gave it that name, because the thing was just crazy. All right, well, I think we're going to call this one a wrap because the sunlight is quickly disappearing behind the trees. I think that I've covered everything from the big to small, with everything in between and the major differences therein. If we can ever get you a quote, please give me a phone call. It's 833-SPLITTER. That's 833-775-4887. You can also email me at sales@shaverequipment.com. We do hope to hear from you soon. Just want to say thank you for watching all of our videos, and hopefully you found this one beneficial as we kind of go around some of the nuts and bolts and different aspects of each of the processors. And would like to get you that sales quote, talk to you in depth about what size log diameter you have, what length the firewood is, whether you need that extended frame or not. And then we'll get you outfitted with the right wedge package too, everything from 4-way, 6, 8, 10, 12. I think there's a 14, and I know there's a 16 because it's on the pallet over there for a customer of mine down in Philadelphia. So again, 833-SPLITTER, or you can email me at sales@shaverequipment.com. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. So I think we're going to do this one just like the superhero movies and kind of give you a post-credit little teaser video. As I mentioned before, we did sell this 1824 diesel. Joe's coming to get it in August because I have a few more logs that I want to get rid of there at the back of the pile, so everything can season up. And as I was closing out the last video, realizing that Boonville, New York, the big Woodsman's Day Logger Expo is actually in 1 month from today. So we have a whole bunch more of these t-shirts that are being made, our classic working hard to be lazy t-shirts. I'm going to do them up in a darker gray, that way the bar oil doesn't show up quite so spotty on the light blue. So the other piece is we are going to debut our brand new 1824 diesel. We are putting this thing to be putting it together to be the Godzilla of processors. We're going to do it with an extended frame, or a double extended frame off the front. There's going to be 7 live deck legs on the processor itself, and then we're actually going to merge together 2 different manufacturers that we rep. We're going to take the brute force processor and marry it up with a CAM-X log loader. Yes, we are going to put a log loader on the very front of the wood processor, and that way it is a mobile firewood monster. Just hook up one truck with the processor, take it to where you have to go. No coming back for a skid steer or coming back for a mini excavator, but be able to process with one unit. We are going to put it together with the 19-foot reach grapple with a 4-foot telescopic option, so you can work a full 360 right around the processor itself. The 19-foot log loader will pick up 3,000 pounds at half reach, so it is no slouch by any means. The reason that we're making the processor so big is I have to go from the saw cutoff chamber to the log loader. I want to be able to give it the full 24, 25, maybe even 26 feet worth of overall length. And we will be debuting that processor at the Boonville, New York show. So I'm like really excited. I can't wait to see it, kind of like a kid at Christmas, and I know what the present is, and I just can't wait to get my hands on it and physically play with it and see it for the first time. So mention you saw the YouTube video. We'll get you a t-shirt in Boonville, I can't talk. It's been a long day. We'll get you a free t-shirt in Boonville, New York, and just mention you saw it here. And again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.